Pathcast. I'm this week's host, Eddie Webb, and with me is Dixie Cochran.
Hello.
And today is one of the weeks where we are sans Matthew. He has wandered off into the sea, playing his farty horn and every other inside joke I could possibly cram into this introduction.
He was shouting wrestling insults at people.
Yes. But today, instead, we have replaced Matthew with two people because it requires at least two people to actually replace Matthew. So we have Ian A. Watson and Danielle Lauzon. Hello.
Hello.
Ahoy, hoy.
Ahoy, hoy. That's an appropriate greeting for today's episode.
Hi,
hi. It is. And we are gathered here on time of recording. It is lovely St. Patrick's Day, or as I like to think of it in America, as Irish Stereotype Day. I mean, it is. It really is.
Okay,
wow.
Absolutely.
So because we haven't seen people very much this year, I had forgotten this joke was going to happen.
Mhm.
And there was a maintenance person in my apartment today
Mhm.
who said, "I see you're ready for St. Patrick's Day," because I have green hair.
Yep.
Oh my
And
god.
And I always have to go, my hair's always this color.
Right.
It's been the color for years, but like I have been just long enough out of the public eye that I forgot I was going to get that joke.
Right.
You
So when I got that joke, I actually was like, "Pardon?" And then he was like, "Oh, your hair," and I was like, "Oh, right, this stupid joke that old white men do to me every year on St. Patrick's Day." Got it.
You should really lean into it. You should be like, yeah, and you should see my pubes.
I don't think I would say that to a strange man.
Maybe shouldn't, but but I'm a troll, so you know.
Shocked. I'm shocked.
I think that's the first time that pubes are ever mentioned on the Onyx Pathcast. So
I'm a lady of firsts.
Check that off the list.
Welcome to the Onyx Pubecast.
I am your host.
I was hanging out in the chat for Monica and Ray and Danielle talking the other day on boat experience, and
Oh my god.
I
Oh
called
my
it
God.
boner experience.
Oh yes.
So I feel like the Onyx Pubecast is just getting back at me for that.
Honestly, we got a little silly on that recording.
I am
So
stunned to hear this.
it was good because that was the first time the three, Ray, Monica, and I had all been like, we did a deep dive together. And normally deep dives are Monica and I filling in an hour on the Bonus Experience podcast when Ray is like super busy and can't do a recording.
Mhm.
So I'll come in and just kind of bullshit to help Monica fill the space. And so we were like, let's bullshit, publishing, small press publishing. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. But Ray was like, I'm available. So we're like, yeah, let's all do it. And it was good. It was great. It was wonderful.
It's a good episode. Go check it out.
It's a good episode.
So anyway, Danielle and I are ostensibly here to talk about adventure.
Right.
Yes.
I was in fact getting to that, but
We're
I
only
also
3 minutes into our tangent, and usually our tangent is 20 minutes. So
Right, I
Ian,
know.
you are jumping the gun right now.
Ian's a cruel taskmaster right now.
I want to talk about the thing I want to talk about.
Was that whip like an Indiana Jones reference?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
Oh, very nice.
Absolutely, yes. That's exactly what it was.
Yes, that's what we're going. But yes, we are here to talk about the new edition of Trinity Continuum Adventure, which at the time you're listening to this, which is significantly after St. Patrick's Day, the Kickstarter should be live and going and has made, as usual, $75 million.
Wow, is that usual?
Yes, as usual, yes.
I'm
That's my usual prediction. And I go down from there as the time goes on.
Okay.
You ever looked at Kick Track, like the first day you launch a Kickstarter?
No, I know.
Yeah.
Kick Track is so optimistic. It's like, you're gonna get $2 million. I'm like, Kick Track, no, honey.
Yeah, it always like settles down. So for those who don't know, KickTrack is a Kickstarter tracking website that tracks your how much you've made over time, how many pledges per day, all that kind of stuff. But because on day one, all it has is the data from day one, it assumes that the Kickstarter will keep going at the rate of day one. So it just assumes you're going to make, 50 grand a day for the next month.
Right.
And it's like, no, honey.
I've heard that it's calibrated on board game Kickstarters and not, say, Onyx Path
Right.
Kickstarters, which, fund like 700% in the first 20 minutes and then, languishes for the next 30 days. Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
there's a definite curve to our Kickstarters, as I'm
oh
sure.
yeah. I mean, most tabletop RPGs have that kind of curve, unless you're a maverick like Coyote and Crow.
Right. Oh my God, Coyote and Crow is doing amazing.
It's so good.
I
I'm so
backed it.
excited for them.
Yes, no, I'm super excited about it. But it was going to be a segue back to stuff, and then just my brain just shut down in the middle of that. That was great.
I'm so glad.
So anyway, Adventure's on Kickstarter right now.
Yes, right.
Yes.
And like I said, according to our Kickstarter estimate, like $2 to $7 million, that'll be revised downward accordingly.
You said 75 a second ago. You already revised down
See,
to 2?
see, right? I mean, it calculates down. I mean,
You
in
just
the middle
lost
of
us
this conversation.
$73 million.
It's the kick track effect.
73 million fictional dollars. Yes.
73
so
million
mad.
Dixie bucks.
Dixie bucks.
Dixie
What
dollars.
is the going rate of a Dixie buck to the US dollar?
A Dixie buck is equivalent to 10 Shroot bucks.
Oh, okay. There you go. That makes sense.
Is that like a Dogecoin?
Oh no, not nearly.
Oh, okay.
Dogecoin is a much more respected currency.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yes.
Adventure, for those who don't know, was one of the 3 original games of what we're now calling Trinity Continuum. Ian, maybe you can give a sense of what Adventure was like before and where Second Edition is going now.
Sure. Originally, Adventure was released in 2001, so we're a couple months away from the 20th anniversary of that right now. Ooh.
I'm old.
And it yeah, I know. It came out at the time that Aberrant and Trinity were winding down. Trinity released its final product on PDF in December 2001. It was actually White Wolf's first PDF release. Aberrant, I think its final book was in early 2002, so it was all, and basically ending what was the Trinity Continuum at the time. And Rich really, really wanted this Pulp game. So he pushed really hard, like, I don't even want a full line, just give me one book. And eventually they agreed. And so Rich pushed for the release of Adventure. And I still think it's the best single book that White Wolf released.
Yeah.
Like, it is just so self-contained because they knew they were not getting any supplements for it. And this time around, we're hoping to change that. The original edition was set in 1924 because Bruce Spa and Charlie Bates were of the opinion that fighting Nazis was kind of an overused trope at the time, and they wanted to sort of expand their options, just open things up to more pulp weirdness, so they set it in the 1920s instead of the 1930s, which is where most of the source material is set. Indiana Jones, The Shadow, all of that stuff takes place in the 30s. When we were talking about putting together the new edition, we said, we want to punch Nazis. In the year of our Lord 2021, we need more Nazi punching.
Thought, right?
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, we decided to bump the timeline up. Unlike with, say, Aberrant, where we shifted all of the events forward 20 years from the original 2008 to 2028. In this case, we're still assuming that the Aeon Society was founded in 1923, but instead of it taking place 1 year later, it's taking place 10 years later. So it's a bit more of a... they've got a little bit more experience under their belt, and although it's not in the same continuity as the first edition, it is sort of, in a way, it's like a sequel to the first edition. You can fill in the gaps in between those 10 years.
Okay. And I mean, given the way that the Trinity Continuum exists anyway, it's not direct continuity, but also all continuity is technically true. So it was one previous spur of the Trinity Continuum that is true in its own right. So
Right.
definitely do all of that fun weirdness. So at that point, as when we brought Danielle on, and so
Danielle.
Danielle as a developer, I mean, how much did you kind of run with that ball? I mean, is there anything that you
Oof.
brought to it? Is there anything that you're excited about doing on it?
I mean, yeah. So when I originally pitched it, it was like, hey, let's revamp the story of adventure, kind of like we did with Aberrant. But Ian suggested we go like advance the timeline to 1934, which was actually really fun because it meant that I got to do some things with some of the allegiances from the core book, where say, well, for example, the Aeon Society, which is this, kind of the one society that makes it through the entirety of the Trinity Continuum, even though it has different forms in different eras. In the Trinity Continuum in Adventure, it was the Aeon Society for gentlemen. It was a gentleman's club. It was created by Max Mercer. And while there were, people of different genders and people of different races that were said to belong, it was still this kind of gentleman's club. And so I was able to say, well, in its 10-year history, it stopped being a gentleman's club. It started to be a more, kind of metropolitan club, social club. Well, not really a social club, less of a social club and more of a focused allegiance that is not just out there, being explorers, but having kind of a more strong focus and actively recruiting women, people of color, and being more inclusive, and with the fun kind of reasoning for that. Why would something like that exist in the 30s? But Max Mercer, who we all know is a time traveling savant, has seen the future. Spoilers. Has seen the future, and he knows what the future looks like, and so he's ready to kind of herald that future where he sees women in the workforce in strong numbers, and uh, you know uh, our first Black president. He's seen these things, and he knows what the future will bring, and so he in many of his attempts to save the future brings some of that sensibility to the present for him. And so we can write about how the Aeon Society is one of the most progressive societies, even though, progressive for the 30s still may look a little regressive to our own 2021 sensibilities. It is one of the most progressive societies because Max Mercer is trying so very hard to save the future.
And that's a really interesting take because it's not it manages to thread the needle, I think, which is fascinating. It's not ignoring the imbalances of the 30s. It's not retconning and saying, well, this stuff just doesn't matter for whatever reason. It allows people to opt in or out of as much as they want to, while also keeping the sci-fi weirdness that is not only a trope of the Trinity, but of adventure specifically.
Yeah. It's one of the things that, was very important to me, that we didn't shy away from the fact that the 30s kind of sucked for a lot of people who weren't cishet white men. Right? Like the 30s for cishet white men were still also kind of awful just because we had the Great Depression going on. And so it was kind of awful all around for everybody. But there was a lot of, there's a lot of isms. There's a lot of, racism, sexism, anti-Semitism. There's so much stuff going on in the 30s that for the most part, we want to kind of allow people to push against, right? We want to allow people to punch Nazis. And so you can't punch a Nazi unless the Nazi is doing white supremacist things that make you want to punch them.
Right.
So we can't ignore that those things exist. Otherwise, our famous villains aren't villains. They're just people you want to punch, which is not as heroic as it sounds. So, it has to be there. We can't ignore it. And I don't want to ignore it because it's, it's in my opinion, disingenuous to the era. Right. But what we can do is, we can give it that pulp feel where we're not just saving the day because that's the right thing to do. Yeah, I mean, it is the right thing to do, but we're also adding the element of, that pulp sci-fi, weird science. The reason that this looks more progressive and you're able to kind of play whatever you want in the 1930s isn't because we're just ignoring it, but because literally someone is a time traveler
Right.
and sees that this is what the future brings and is trying to bring the future to the present. And so I try in a lot of ways to incorporate that kind of sensibility throughout other allegiances as well. One of our authors created an allegiance in Africa that's centered in North Africa and the nations there, that is essentially people who are inspired, people who are inspired being, kind of our talents of the of Trinity Continuum core has talents. And so those are our inspired. In adventure, we have the 3 Daredevils, Mesmerists, and Stalwarts, Daredevils being what becomes talents in the Trinity Continuum era. I don't want to say the future because I don't want to talking about time in the Trinity Continuum is really weird.
Right. Tenses are a problem.
The continuum.
Yeah, it's weird. So anyway, the inspired in, say, Africa, that's not a thing that actually exists, right? That didn't actually really happen in our real. But what if that did happen, right? I feel like, so our author kind of envisioned this world where these colonized nations who are kind of struggling under European rule finally have a resource. There's tons of resources in Africa that the Europeans want, right? That's why they're there. But now we have a resource that we can actually keep from you. And so there's an entire allegiance dedicated to keeping inspired individuals in Africa, in African inspired individuals in Africa, and not letting the European colonizers steal that resource as well. And it's an interesting thing, right? Because if you're playing this, there's so many things you can explore, and also just be like cool person with cool powers.
I want to be a cool person.
Yeah, I'd be a cool person.
You are a cool person, Dixie.
I don't have cool powers.
That's what you should have said.
You can work on that.
You can work on cool powers.
Irradiate yourself. Stand next to nuclear reactors.
Get bit by a radioactive spider.
Slime.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm taking all these suggestions on board, and I will do them all at once.
Yes. That gives you the highest amount of success of getting cool powers.
I'm going to stand next to a nuclear reactor with a radioactive spider eating some kind of radioactive slime.
Right.
Yeah.
While cosmic rays.
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
yes,
good.
yes. Cosmic rays are important. Yes, good one.
Yeah.
Also, gamma radiation.
Yeah.
I've been watching the MCU movies in order. It's a whole thing.
Oh wow, yeah. Like chronological order, right?
Yeah. In a chrono order. So we just finished the Avengers last night.
Oh,
and now we're on to
cool.
I think it's Thor 2 and then Iron Man 3.
Yeah.
And then both Guardians movies. Yeah.
Nice.
It's a long watch.
Yeah, it's a lot. You mentioned the other 2 kind of groupings, and that Daredevils ultimately become talents. So what about Mesmerists and Stalwarts? Those are relatively new to the Continuum.
They're new to the Continuum. I mean, they existed in first edition, so and they exist in this edition in a similar format. Our Stalwarts are kind of physically capable, and they track to, in the future, what looks like a Stalwart actually becomes a Nova. We don't really explain that. There's a lot of pseudoscience. There's a lot of pseudoscience there, and also there's some. We all know about Divis Mal, who in Aberrant wants to kind of. Well, he kind of believes that Novas are godlings and that they should kind of rule the world. And he's the newsflash. He's always believed this.
Mhm.
and
Right.
s- and so in the adventure era, where he first becomes exposed to the energies that turn him into a nova, he is the only nova, and
Mm.
everyone else is a stalwart, and he doesn't understand why no one else is as powerful as him.
Oh, interesting.
And instead of being an antagonist, he's actually kind of a pseudo ally, because he's still friendly with the Aeon Society, Max Mercer, all of these people. He hasn't yet had any kind of falling out, and so there's what stalwarts are kind of not quite novas, and there is an explanation as to why they can't become novas in the adventure era. And the same with Mesmerists. Mesmerists are what will eventually become scions, but they cannot.
Hmm.
And if you're familiar with the history of the world, in Trinity Continuum, you could probably figure out why not, and we explain it in the book. But um, it's beyond our control, beyond human control, as to why they cannot get to their more powerful forms.
So if you want to find the secret out, you have to back to Kickstarter and get the manuscript to read the secret chapter.
Secrets.
But that brings up a good point that actually, Ian, since you're kind of looking over the whole continuum, I'd like to get your thoughts on, because in our Discords, someone was mentioning being interested in anima, for example, to go slightly off topic. And they said, do I have to read all of the other Trinity books to understand anima? And I'd be curious, I mean, how do you feel like, I feel like all of the games are self-contained, but do people need to know this kind of quote unquote meta plots to understand it all? How much does these meta plot decisions impact how we design these Trinity games? How does this all kind of fit together?
That's a good question. I don't feel that you need to, like, obviously everyone needs the core rulebook to play. So just using that base information, I don't think you need any other of the Trinity Continuum games to enjoy, say, adventure or anima. It's useful. Think of it like, since we were just talking about the Marvel Cinematic Universe, you don't need to know any of the other stuff that's been going on in the MCU to enjoy any individual movie, with the possible exception of the big team ups like Avengers or whatever. Like if you're watching Iron Man 3, Tony's been through something major, but you don't need to know the ins and outs of Thor. You don't need to know what's going on with Hulk. It's just an Iron Man story. So knowing all that extra stuff might enrich your viewing of Iron Man, but it shouldn't prevent you from enjoying Iron Man.
That said, as a person who has seen some of these MCU movies for the first time, I do recommend enriching your view of things, because it is cool when you see all the pieces fitting together.
Oh, for sure. If you want to buy every Trinity Continuum book, please do
that. Because like I realized over this past couple of weeks when we started our big MCU watch through that I had literally seen Iron Man 1 and then the Avengers.
Oh wow, yeah.
So I didn't see Captain America, I didn't see Iron Man 2, I didn't see the first Thor movie. So like now I had so much context in the Avengers. I was like, oh hey, like I didn't know Black Widow was in one of the earlier movies. I didn't know that. I thought she showed up in the Avengers. So yeah, it was very cool.
Yeah, it's interesting because I definitely agree with Ian that you don't need, and especially like I think the Trinity Continuum books are pretty good at, if there is this kind of like, there's a secret, there's a reason why, and it's literally stated in the Aeon book. Like, so if you read like the setting secrets of the Aeon book, you will know why. But we will also put it in the setting secrets of the adventure book. We're not going to force you to read through every single setting secret book, for every single book to understand adventure. In fact, you don't need to, because it may, if you have read it all, you may be like, oh, I already know all this. How is this a setting secret? And it's because this is for this book.
Right.
And this is this book's secrets.
I mean, comparing Adventure to other pulp games that are out there, it might seem a little weird because we've got our because it's set in the Trinity Continuum. We've got our divisions
Right.
of the Daredevils, the Stalwarts, and the Mesmerists, which not every game is going to have that kind of that split of different character types. But
Right.
it makes sense for us because of the game that we're doing.
Right.
So, I mean, in that sense, Adventure is going to be a little different than any other pulp game, but if you like pulp games, you should like this game.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. Is that, and I feel like that's true for Aberrant as well, where Aberrant has some very specific things going on with it because it is part of the Trinity Continuum and a story that we're kind of telling throughout the ages. Or if you like superhero games, you'll probably like Aberrant, but it does do some things different than other superhero games do on purpose. And I feel like Adventure does that as well, right? We have this I say weird, but we have this separation between the mentalist and the strong man and the super lucky person in our Mesmerists, Stalwarts, and Daredevils, which isn't something that other pulp games necessarily do, but it is important for the timeline of the future. But it shouldn't hamper your enjoyment of Adventure to have these separations.
So, I mean, and so what I'm hearing, it sounds like, is that, and you mentioned Aberrant, which is a good kind of nod to this. I have heard of people who took even first edition Aberrant and just used that as their Marvel or DC or whatever
Yep.
superhero game. And it sounds like you can do the same thing with Adventure. Like, if you really just want to play The Shadow or Doc Savage or whatever, it sounds like you can.
Absolutely. Yes, 100%.
That was actually the main question I had, was what kind of pop culture stories are inspirations for Adventure. Just so that's always, I think, a good way to like sell a game to people, or like
Oh, totally.
tell people about a game. So when we were at conventions in the before times, and people would kind of gesture at like Aeon, I would go, oh, it's like Mass Effect. Kind of. You can play all kinds of space games with this,
Right.
or you can play games on Earth where there's alien contact. So what are those for Adventure?
Well, I mean, I have mine, and I think Ian can also add in some, but I think Adventure is very much like the Trinity Continuum core in that there are a lot of different pulp. Like, first of all, Pulp has so many different genres underneath it. There's pulp sci-fi, there's pulp noir, there's pulp adventure, there's pulp uh like weird science and pulp westerns, and all of that stuff can be played with Adventure. Adventure, though, is really a pulp adventure game. So that's why it's called Adventure and not Pulp. I mean, right, like
Trinity Continuum, Pulp!
Please do not pulp our rule books.
Please don't pulp them.
I mean, if you buy them, I don't care what you do with them afterwards.
Well, if you pulp our rule books, then you'll have to buy a second copy. That's fine.
Yeah.
I guess.
So we're actually encouraging the pulping of our rulebooks.
No, actually, don't do it. Don't. So it is far more of the adventure genre with the splashes of weird pseudoscience bullshit and kind of high flying action, lots of exploration, lots of saving the day kind of pulp. But we absolutely have space for pulp noir. There's the International Detective Agency, which is essentially we name drop Sherlock Holmes as a member, and if you want to play through Sherlock Holmes style stories, absolutely you can. We have an allegiance that's kind of a nod to Lupin, the great French thief.
Yes.
So if you want to do kind of this gentleman thief kind of activity, you can absolutely do that as a game concept. So allegiances, just like in Trinity Core, in my opinion, allegiances really set the tone of the game you want to play. Of which allegiances your characters are playing as will kind of help determine what kind of story you're going to tell. And not that everybody has to be the same allegiance. Clearly, you can mix and match allegiances. They work well together for, various different stories. But it's really open to playing through lots of different genres, and we give support for that.
So Ian, what resources or what inspirations do you think of when you think of adventure?
The usual stuff. Indiana Jones, clearly. The Rocketeer, The Shadow, Sky Captain and the World of Tomorrow, which is underrated movie. Fight me. Duck Savage. The whole gamut of the popular pulp tropes. It digs into all of that. I mean, any of those.
I keep thinking of The Mummy.
Yes, I was just about to say The Mummy. First edition actually specifically called out The Mummy. Like, hey, if you want to do it, here's how. And I don't think we do that. We specifically call it out in this edition, but it's just as easy to run.
Yeah, all of the things we've mentioned are pretty much in my media inspiration section for the book. So,
right.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
All that good stuff.
And building from those inspirations, we've talked even on previous podcast episodes about the fact that Trinity is ultimately a sci-fi universe, and a lot of the pulps you reference kind of as inspirations does kind of blur the line between science fiction and mysticism. So what is some of the weird science, if you will, of Trinity Adventure specifically?
Okay, so I'm going to say some stuff, but I might get too deep, so Ian can cut me off at any time.
You're asking Ian to cut you off from going too deep? That will never work out well.
Only so that I can get too deep.
Exactly. Right. If Ian wants to take over and go even deeper. Anyway, so the main weird science of Trinity Continuum Adventure is telluric energy. And telluric energy is a catch-all term for actually 3 different energies. It's just in the 30s, they can't really differentiate between what is in the future known as quantum energy and noetic energy and flux energy. And so in the 30s, they're just like, we see this source, this wavelength, and we call it telluric energy, and we're trying to study it, and we don't know how to differentiate these things. And so there's a lot of pseudoscience around what telluric energy is, how it works, and all of the super science like death ray or special, like weird powered robots or flying sky citadels are all powered by telluric energy. As the scientists, the mad scientists or the wild harebrained scheme scientists of the day learn how to harness telluric energy for both good and nefarious purposes. So the science of the game is all centered around these particles. And, I know when we were conceptualizing what is telluric energy and how does it work and why, how do we back explain how, Mesmerists and Stalwarts and Daredevils all have different powers and in the future become novas and scions. We kind of said, okay, well, so, telluric energy is these 3 particles, noetic energy, quantum energy, and flux energy. Well, particles are different things. Anyway, so psi particles and quantum particles and whatever the flux particle is. I don't remember. Ian, do you remember what we called it? I think it's just called flux.
Yeah, it's just flux.
Okay. Yeah, so these things are quantumly entangled. And so that's why they can't be looked at differentially. Quantum theory is really just getting started in the 30s. People are just now kind of theorizing about quantum physics, and they haven't really fully explored its breadth and depth yet. In fact, oh my God, I'm about to lose my brain. Of the scientist who came up with quantum theory first, originally thought that it was going to go nowhere. He had no idea that he was actually onto something. Because, we had Einstein doing relativity and we had, oh my God, scientist names. They've all fallen out of my head. I know things.
Max Planck, Niels Bohr.
Planck, yes,
Planck? Okay.
Planck's, yes. Planck didn't realize that his theories on quantum physics and what he was looking into was actually going to go anywhere.
Mhm.
He was absolutely onto something, and then his theories turned out to be right, or right-ish. I mean, as far as they could tell from the 30s. But that is, we're just looking into, nuclear fission, and none of that stuff is in the 30s as well known as it is today. And so we decided that these three particles are quantumly entangled, and that quantum entanglement defines the relationship between the people who have the ability to kind of connect to these things. These particles kind of infuse them, and
Mhm.
they react a certain way. And all of the things that have happened in the past and all the things that will happen in the future through quantum entanglement. And I have a really long essay about how quantum entanglement, like pseudoscience bullshit about how quantum entanglement works in relation to telluric energy, but you'll need like a stretch goal to see that.
Ooh, nice.
So if you hit that stretch goal, you can see my ramblings and ravings.
If not, then just hang on Twitter. Eventually, I'm sure it'll happen.
I'm sure. It's all Twitter is good for.
Right. But see, I find that interesting in the sense that the media that we're emulating from the time was doing just strange things because it was narratively interesting, and they weren't scientists or necessarily always from a strong science background. And yet the actual real world science, like you said, at the time period is much further ahead than I think we give it credit for. I mean, you mentioned Planck. Obviously, it's like your quantum physics does have like 90 years of history to it, but we still think of it as a very quote unquote modern science. And we also have people like Hedy Lamarr inventing Wi-Fi, not much further ahead of this time period.
Nope.
So there is a lot of real world grounding for what we're calling this quote unquote weird science. And so I find it interesting because the tone of adventure has always kind of struck me as the half step between the damn near fantasy of the sci-fi of the original pulps and the recognizing the real world accomplishments that were happening in science around this time period and going, okay, let's just go just a touch further.
Yeah, I think I like to think of it as the extrapolation of what real world science was already looking at. So in places where, we talk about quantum physics, or we talk about relativity, or we talk about, particle physics, or anything that was being, just discovered or just theorized about at that time period, and that we know a whole lot more about now today, and say, well, what if it was even further, and what if we just kind of hand waved some truths about it that aren't actually true, but we decided they are, to create this kind of fantasy style, for lack of a better term, magic, but rooted in these kind of real technological bases. So it seems real, right? It seems plausible. I like that because I'm the kind of person that will watch a TV show or a movie, and there'll be somebody, especially police procedurals, do this to me. And I'm sure that if you're an expert in a field and you see it being represented in media, you're just like, oh my god, that's not how that works. But every time there's like we ran a PCR and it took them like 5 seconds to do, I'm just like, no magic, that's just magic. And I know that that's, but it's so unbelievable to me that it breaks me out of whatever's going on.
There's a classic line in an episode of CSI New York where, there's some weird hacker thing going on, and one of the characters goes, I'm going to create a GUI in Visual Basic and trace the IP address. That seems like an extra step there. Why are you doing that?
My ex-boyfriend Tom, still a very good friend of mine, he was a nuke in the Navy, right? And his biggest pet peeve in movies was every time there was like a disaster movie that involved a nuclear reactor, whether it was on a submarine or anything. There's always some point where some junior guy runs up and goes, "Sir, the reactor is critical," but that means it's working properly. That's literally like if the reactor is critical, it's on and it's functioning. That's
Right.
You want the reactor to be critical. So like,
I mean, critical in the sense that it's important. Yes, it is.
yeah. So like, I've actually corrected that in books of ours before. I wrote to Tom and said, what would somebody actually say?
Right.
And he like told me, like the thing, but like every time we would watch like some like bad sci-fi movie and somebody would do that, and Tom was like, "So it's working fine then, right? Okay, all right, fine."
Oh yeah, I have a friend who's a nuclear physicist, and we were not together because Chernobyl came out kind of in the quarantine times, but
Right.
we were doing these kind of watch sessions of Chernobyl, and we'd watch an episode, and then he would get on Facebook or Twitter and be like, "And this is why this episode sucked." It's like, I need everybody to know that Chernobyl is fantasy, right? You're not actually watching what actually happened. It's a extrapolation. It's historical fiction. I'm like,
Right.
cool.
It's similar. My wife Michelle is a physical anthropologist. She has her master's degree in studying remains, specifically skeletal remains.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember very vividly, as part of her coursework, her instructor made her watch an episode of CSI, any episode at all, and then write down everything that was wrong with it.
I bet she loved Bones.
Oh, she has sworn so much. She would like push play, go 5 seconds, push pause, go fuck, and then write down something.
And see, I love Bones because I don't have a background in that.
Right.
I think it's a perfectly fun show. I do want to point something out though, Danielle.
Yes.
And that is how much the quarantine times have fucked with our brains, because Chernobyl came out in May 2019.
Did it really?
Yes.
Jesus, tap dancing Christ.
You like said it was quarantine times, and I was like, no, because I watched it with my roommates in Delaware. I wasn't even living in Maryland at the time.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Please, someone take me out back and shoot me full of history.
Did you know that The Witcher was only a year ago?
Yeah, I did know that.
I didn't watch it.
I did. I also I've lost all sense of what is time. And I used to it's a joke. Time is a flat circle. Now it's just like my trauma makes you forget things.
Right.
Oh, how about this? Chernobyl, the second episode, I think, aired the same day as the Game of Thrones finale, I do believe.
Are you kidding me?
What?
It was the same week at least.
What?
How is that even real?
The Game of Thrones finale aired May 19th, 2019. And Chernobyl, the first episode aired May 6th, 2019. So yeah, there's an episode. The third episode of Chernobyl came out the day after the Game of Thrones finale.
Dixie, stop using reality to lie to me. That's not fair.
Wow. Wild. I just.
Oh,
anyway, so in which we realize that Danielle has absolutely no sense of time whatsoever.
I just like that we're talking about messing with time, because there's a guy in Adventure who does that.
Yes,
Right.
there is.
So, it's all Max Mercer's fault?
It's all Max Mercer's fault.
It was Mercer all along.
It was Mercer all along. Anyway, Max Mercer is also to segue back into your question about the weird science thing. Max Mercer is kind of our other hand wavy way of explaining some things. I mean, there's a lot of weird stuff going on in Adventure, and one of the other things I want to talk about before I talk about Max Mercer, so I'm going to segue this segue, is that Adventure. So in the core book, we talk about these strange places and spatial anomalies where, there's Francis the octopus who's trying to go back home, right? In the core book,
Right.
My near and dear to my heart, Francis.
Oh, Francis.
I love Francis.
So there's these, kind of weird places where there's this dimensional weirdness or porousness between our current reality and some other dimension that's out there in the continuum. And these exist in the Trinity Continuum core. In the adventure era, there are so many more of those. They're not everywhere, but they're in places, and they're to the point where we wind up detailing some of them, and we will go through and detail even more of them as the line progresses, because they're such an integral part of getting some of the weirdness into the game. Where we have a talking gorilla. How do we have a talking gorilla? Well, a lot of like the Pulp stuff have talking gorilla because somebody scienced a gorilla and gave him the intelligence to talk. Instead, in our game, this talking gorilla is actually from a race of gorillas from another dimension. And so it won't just be this one talking gorilla. There may be even more, because they're starting to come over, and you may even be able to, don't quote me on this, play one.
We did actually have a question about that on the Discord. People asking if they can play in Q2. So.
Yeah, I know. It is a thing that we have added to the stretch goals. Is one of the things I want to do is create a setting strange place location book that is a supplement to adventure. And in that book, and honestly, if you can't wait for that, here's how you do it. Here's how we will do it. Any racial, I want to be a weird thing, I want to be a talking gorilla, or I want to be a Francis octopus, or any of those, it's going to be a path. It's going to be an origin path. And it may work different from normal origin paths and give it will probably have special edges that are specific to that path. So you need to be part of that path to get that edge. And those edges will define the special abilities that you have for being one of those things. So if you really want to just homebrew it, that's how you would do it. Make it a path, give it some special edges.
Awesome.
And now you don't even need the book. I'm done.
Good job.
My job is done here.
Danielle.
Thanks, Danielle.
You did it wrong. Okay,
Damn it.
Everybody pulp this podcast. And then go back to Kickstarter.
Just stay unseen. I go back, erase your memory.
Look, if you want somebody to do that work for you, we will.
Right.
That's all game writing is. You have an imagination. We're just doing the work for you.
There we go. That's a nice way to balance it out. So we are getting close to time. So is there anything either of you wants to mention that we haven't talked about yet that you're excited about with Adventure?
I'm just excited that there's a possibility we can finally do supplements to Adventure.
Yeah.
Which is not a thing that happened before.
I mean, technically we already have with the radio drama.
True, but that's more for this edition.
Yeah, I know. Look for that silver lining there.
Yeah.
I mean, is that really a supplement? I mean, it's supplemental media, but is it like...
No, that's fair. Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm really excited for everybody to see this book, because Adventure is, I never played Adventure when it came out. So let's, confession time. But having read through it, having had a chance to kind of interact with it, I like really excited about this game. Probably of the 3 core Trinity Continuum game lines, this one is my favorite. I'm not supposed to have favorites,
right?
And normally I would be all about Aeon. Like, I really like Aeon. I really like sci-fi. Like, that's super my jam. But something about Adventure and the I think it's really the dimensional weirdness. Honestly, I think the being able to create these kind of weird pseudoscience bullshitty explanations for other worlds and weird alien races that are actually just dimensional anomalies is really cool to me. And it hits it scratches an itch I didn't really know I had until I started working on this.
It's always fun when you fall in love with the game as you're working on it.
Yeah. Not that I didn't like it before.
No, totally. But there's I mean, I kind of went through the same arc with Anima. It's like when I first started working on it, I was like, well, I like cyberpunk and I like video games, and this will probably work. And then through the course of it, I really I've gotten super excited about that. But
Anima's so good.
we won't talk about Anima yet.
We'll talk about
save
Anima
that
later.
for the future podcast where we get probably this exact same group of people to talk about it.
It'll be fun.
But actually, that did remind me though, since you mentioned that you didn't really play first edition, we generally have been trying to make these these games approachable for people who have never played the original edition, but also to have either Easter eggs or references or at least nods towards the original versions of the game, so people who were fans can see something that they love and carry that along. So probably more question for Ian, but is there anything that people who were really big fans of first edition might be excited about to see either was kept or updated or added to in second edition?
I think we've pretty much kept everything that was in the original edition and just sort of added onto it and gave us more. So if you liked the Flying Circus is still here. If you liked Enkidu is still here. You heard him in the radio drama. All of the good stuff that was in first edition is back, plus 10 years. And we go a lot more in depth on what can be found around the world than we got to see in the first edition rulebook, which is a real treat. But yeah, if you like first edition, you're going to like this one more, I hope.
Exactly. So, Dixie, is there anything else that you wanted to ask, or did you get all the questions you wanted?
I think I got the main thing. I'm excited for this, though. I think it'll be fun.
Yeah,
I can't wait to play it.
Absolutely. So, Ian, if people want to ask you more questions about adventure or anything with the Trinity Continuum, where would they find you online?
I now have a link tree. We just /vonaether. I've got all my socials and bullshit in there, so head over that way.
How does
VON.
How does Linktree work?
Linktree, it's just a simple page with a link to all of your like social media or websites or whatever you want to put in there. So it's like a one-stop shop for finding where to find me online. So that's VONAETHER.
Danielle?
You can find me at DanielleLauzon.com. I haven't updated it in a while, but it has links to all of my social media and some small things about myself.
And Dixie?
As usual, you can find me at Dixie Cyanide on most social media.
You can find me at pegsteady.com, and from there, unlike Linktree, but similar to Linktree, you'll find access to all of my social media accounts. You can find all of us hanging around at theonyxpath.com. We do have an adventure channel in our Discord, so if you want to talk about adventure, we've already had lots of discussion and speculation and thoughts about the radio drama, at least, and also what's maybe coming out. So I'm sure we'll be talking more about it as the Kickstarter comes along. Definitely come by the Kickstarter and check it out. As usual, if you back it at a minimum level, you will get access to all of the manuscript previews as they come out, and they will be based off of the original Word documents, and it's pre-editing. So it gives an opportunity to kind of look things over, and if you see anything that's concerning or confusing, it gives us a chance to kind of adjust it even after editing, so that way we can make sure that it's the best possible book when it goes to layout. But yeah, go to there. And also, full disclosure, it's not on Indiegogo. I'm saying Kickstarter. I'm not saying Kickstarter is a euphemism for a crowdfunding website. It is actually on Kickstarter. Yes. As we talked about with the Victorian Mage / Mage 20th Victorian Age / whatever we call that book. Indiegogo was something we're testing out for Mage. We may do more Indiegogo stuff, but this is going to be on Kickstarter. So if you're familiar with Kickstarter, it's going to work exactly like you expect it to work. So come check us out in the Kickstarter. Come swing by Discord. Come by our websites. Chat with us on social media. And as always, many worlds, one Pathcast.